I can't believe it's actually happening. The Calgary Flames have had their year-end press conference, and shockingly, one long-tenured Flame could be on their way out. With all eyes on the future, we could see more veterans move on from the organization. We're going to get to all that and more in this video, but first I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family, and you probably guessed it from the thumbnail and the intro of this video, but will Razz re-sign is quickly becoming a very, very pressing question already for this offseason and just for the organization in general. And honestly, things are kind of really pointing to him actually moving on from the Flames as opposed to re-signing. But we have a great article to look at here. It comes from Salim Valji of TSN, so all credit due to him. We won't go over the whole thing, but if you want to read all of it, it is a very, very interesting. But essentially the headline is Andersson ponders future as Flames head into off-season. And already right away by the headline, that's already, a headline that kind of alludes to the fact that maybe he won't be a Flame. Usually, if, things are looking like absolutely he's going to re-sign, then that's what it would say. It would say Andersson, Conroy in contract talks or something like that. But no, this is quite different. It was a very interesting press conference, as we saw, especially Andersson's, when he revealed that he'd been playing with a broken fibula and other things. But he was not beating around the bush. He wasn't, leaving any questions out in the air. He kind of made it sound like maybe he won't be sticking around. So let's hop in. So the heart and soul defenseman seemed both exhausted and emboldened to answer questions about his playing career. And that's a crazy thing to say too. That already makes it seem like, is he going to retire? But no, blue liner Rasmus Andersson, who revealed on Saturday that he played through the team's playoff push with a broken fibula, is eligible to sign a contract extension this summer and can become a UFA next July when his 6-year, $27.3 million contract expires. So he has one more year on his contract. Obviously, that's usually when you'd want to sign or re-sign with your team. If not, he will become, of course, a free agent. Now, he made it clear both how much he loves the only NHL organization he's ever known and how aware he is that hockey is a business where mutual love does not always lead to a long-term marriage. And we'll get into the quotes, but again, already there, he made it clear he loves the Flames, but he understands that it is a business, and that, affects all sides. Does he fit into the Flames' plans for the future? Can he get more money elsewhere? That's also the business side for him personally. Can he maybe want to go and win a cup with a contender? All of these are very major factors. So, here's a quote. "I've been here for 10 years now, and I've loved every second of it," Andersson told reporters on Saturday. "I grew up in Calgary. I've been here my whole life, so I just got to sit down with my family and talk it through." Interesting. The 28-year-old clearly took notice of fellow right-shooting defenseman Zane Parekh, the organization's top prospect, 9 years his junior, who scored in his NHL debut 2 nights ago to end the season. Connie and those guys have to do the same thing, Andersson continued, off the decisions facing both sides. So Andersson recognizes, maybe his spot, or at least spots on that right side of the decor, are going to be taken up by guys of the future, most namely Zane Parekh. So again, already very interesting that everything is being talked about. Nothing's being left off the table here. There's a lot of good conversations in that room, but there's a lot of good young players in the organization, and there's only a certain amount of right shot defensemen you can have on the team. That's a quote from Andersson. That's not from Conroy. That's not from Huska. That's from Andersson himself. He fully recognizes the reality of the situation, which you'd assume all players do, but he's actually speaking about it to the media, which honestly I appreciate as a Flames fan. I'm glad he's being transparent with us, not going to absolutely shock us and leave like certain other players have, but it is overall interesting that he truly is kind of speaking it all into existence. It's very interesting. So general manager Craig Conroy said that he spoke with Andersson on Saturday, but not specifically about his future. He'll think about his situation and his family, Conroy said. He played through a lot here. You're playing with broken bones, and if you saw his feet black and blue swollen up, I give him a lot of credit. What really sticks out to me already here is Conroy saying he played through a lot here, not he plays through a lot here. And I know he's talking about this playoff push that the Flames had where he played through the broken bones, was clearly exhausted. He wasn't practicing at all, wasn't doing any morning skates kind of thing. But already, I don't know, I'm getting major vibes that it doesn't seem like either Conroy or Andersson are really trying to lean into him re-signing, which is extremely, extremely interesting. So is Andersson a top pairing blue liner who can quarterback a power play, kill penalties, consistently post 40 plus points every season, and match up against other team stars as he did from 2021 to 2024? That's a definite yes. That's what we know him as. Or is Andersson a second pairing blue liner who had one of the league's worst plus minus at minus 38 this campaign? Very interesting. Is that the actual Rasmus Andersson? I don't want to say so. Of course, he was playing injured, and you're not going to be at your best when you're playing injured, but it is, I guess, a realistic way to look at it. You have to look at your value. The stats come down to it. It doesn't matter what you've really done in the past until it comes into your contract year, which I know wasn't this past season, but it kind of was if he is to re-sign. So overall, a very interesting question there from Volgy. So we'll sit down and talk about it and see where he's at and where we're at, Conroy said. And if it makes sense for both sides, then we'll move forward. That's good news. Sounds like he would re-sign. I would think something would be done, an extension or trade this year, but I don't want to put a time frame on it. He has one more year on his contract too. I don't want to say absolutely it's going to be something in the next 5 months. Next 5 months, you'd more so lean towards that would be the time frame for an extension. But again, it's still interesting, the fact that a trade could be on the table as well. I actually spoke about this to the guys, the Digest Media guys as well, and they all thought, Andersson's going to get traded kind of thing, which is, that could be its whole other own video, but it is extremely interesting that everything's on the table right now, and it doesn't seem like anyone's really honing in on a contract extension happening. So as Andersson said, there are only so many minutes to go around. He's earned that right of unrestricted free agency, Conroy said. Another bomb to drop in this insane article and just this insane press conference. So he's earned the right to go to free agency. That's not what we want. That's exactly never what Conroy has wanted. But I guess what he's saying is Conroy would trade him and then he can go to free agency kind of thing. So everybody has that time where they get to a point in their career where they have to make some decisions moving forward. Again, that doesn't sound like anything to do with the Flames, but that's just me and me reading between the lines here. So Andersson wears his emotions on his sleeve, be it after a heartbreaking loss, comeback win, or on Saturday when talking about his NHL future. He is acutely aware of his contract situation and fan discourse around his future. Andersson allowed himself to soak in the Saddledome atmosphere during the team's final home game of the season versus Vegas on Tuesday, knowing it might not ever be the same for him again. Wow, I know this is obviously an article, it's a reporter using these big words, but that is nuts to hear. Especially when we knew we were out of the playoff chase, you kind of looked around, Andersson said, "This is all I know in the NHL, and I love playing at the Dome. People say it's old and whatever, but I love it." I agree with you there, Razz. "I've loved every second of it. I love putting on that red jersey every time I come in here. That's never going to change. That's why I feel like I want to be as honest as possible with you. I don't know what's going to happen. Honestly, I just don't." And that's the big quote for me. That makes it sound like he's being honest, he's being transparent, and that transparency would be more needed when it comes to him not staying with the team. So maybe they'll explore a trade, or we'll see what's going to happen. But honestly, this was insane to kind of look at here. I can't believe it could actually be happening, that we could be moving on from Rasmus Andersson. But that is something we will definitely keep an eye on this summer. Obviously, the draft is going to be big for us. We'll see what picks we end up getting and stuff, but Andersson's future could be the main storyline of the summer, as well as good old offer sheet videos. I'm sure a lot of those will be coming up, but insane stuff here with Razz. Let me know. Do you think Razz will re-sign? Do you think he'll get traded? Or do you think in a couple years' time, or I guess a year and a few months, he will go to unrestricted free agency? Overall, extremely interesting, and it's crazy how much they're already talking about it just themselves. Now let's get into the Worlds. Obviously, since we're not in the playoffs, we can focus on the World Hockey Championships, of course, and the Flames have a lot of representatives this time around, and look at that first one there. So the first one is Rasmus Andersson will be representing Sweden at the IIHF World Championship, which is great for him. Obviously, he was at the Four Nations face-off, didn't really play all that much. Is he injured? Is he healthy? I'm kind of confused as to what's going on here, but it sounds like he will be playing for Team Sweden, of course. Last year, I think we only had one guy go, and it was Pospisil. So this year, knowing that there are more is pretty cool. We have quite a few Flames to cheer about, and obviously Andersson with Sweden. How can you not cheer for that guy right there? The next one, Dan Vladar will be representing Czechia between the pipes. I'm interested to see if he'll be the number one goalie, but overall, it's super cool that he's going. Obviously, we know how good he is, and maybe he could really make a name for himself at this World Championship. And I don't know what that means for your contract stuff. If he plays really well, maybe he'll be more coveted, and maybe that's not good for us. But either way, it'll be awesome to support Dan over there. The next one, we've got an American. We've got Matty Coronato. He will be representing the red, white, and blue at the World Championships this year. Super cool. He's such a World Championship type of player, if you know what I mean. Like, I obviously would much rather have him be a playoff type player, but to me, he just screams that like Mangiapane with Canada vibe, you know, sort of thing. So obviously, we'll be cheering on Coronato as well. And then we have the big one. We've got MacKenzie Weegar, who was not picked for the Four Nations face-off when many thought he should have been. He wasn't even a replacement player, but he will be representing Canada. He'll be having that maple leaf on his sweater. Obviously, personally, I think I'll be cheering for Weegs the most out of these four, but awesome to see so many Flames get to play a little bit of extra hockey, and of course, we will be cheering them on. Now let's wrap up this video with the comment of the day, as we love to do here on the channel. It comes from the most recent video, which was obviously a very optimistic one, talking about the dubs of the season in a way, and I loved this comment here from the 219YYC. They said, I cannot wait for October 2025. Next season is going to be special. I can't see the future, of course, but I have a feeling they will repeat this year's effort, and with fresh blood and Wolf playing with a little less spotlight on him, this team will add. In other words, it's back to the playoffs in the spring of 2026. Go Flames, go. You love to see the positivity. You love to see the optimism. It should be a super fun season. And again, with certain trades that could happen, free agency, of course, offer sheets, and the draft, this team could look a lot different and look a lot better. We just need a little bit of offense. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe like what you saw here today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.